what I've seen on dance floors, like people have come, I've seen people change. I know I've changed myself. I'm not the person who taught 20 years ago under any circumstances, but for me, for lots of times, it's been kind of like it happened. Just kind of something happened. Whereas now, for me, with introducing what I consider the neuroscience side to it and a lot more mindfulness, it's getting much more clear. This is what happened. This is what changed. It's like when Brigitte said earlier on, like, times I used to be anxious, now it's kind of cautious. So it's actually knowing. It's like knowing myself a lot deeper. But actually being able to name it as well as have just a sense of it. Having that good link. So for me, it's like bringing the mind and the body together in a really good way. So it's not coming to 5 rhythms and kind of leaving your head outside almost, like let's be like headless chickens. It's kind of saying, I have a head, I have a mind, I have a brain, it directs me, it does everything that that happens in my life. Now, how does that actually all connect up for me? So this is the new direction for me anyway, and this is for those who are new. The work I'm calling is Embodied Presence. So there are presence, turning up, being here right now. Like that question when I asked you at the end of the warm-up is like, how are you now, this minute, right now? It's like being here right now. And for many of us, that's always kind of like it flicks. It's like, I'm here now, I'm gone. Here now, I'm gone. I'm here now. And the hope is that the here now lasts a little bit here now, a bit longer. You will never, ever, ever, ever be here 100%. So anybody that's striving for that, like whether you're striving for it within the 5 rhythms or in your meditation practice, sorry. You happen to be a human being with sort of an animal base, so you're not built to be here 100%. You're built to come and go. Our brains are built to come and go. Any of you that do sitting meditation will know the minute you kind of quiet down, it isn't that the brain goes all really silent and quiet. It's like, oh my God, there's this much noise. Thinking about this, thinking about that. And then you name it, and you come back thinking, you name it, you think, oh great, now I'm back. Oh, off again. And our brains are built for that. They are not built to be silent. That's when we practice mindfulness. We bring mindfulness in to help us quieten the brain. But by its nature, it is not built for quietness and silence in that way. When we go quiet. It's not. It's built to be scanning the environment 24/7. Yeah, it never ever, even when you're asleep, even if you're a good sleeper and you say, oh, I slept the whole night long, believe it or not, you didn't. You wake up about 10 or 12 times during the night to scan. And if ever you watch your animals, they wake up, they stretch, they look around and they go back straight back to sleep. We do almost the same thing. But for people who really good, sleep really well, you don't notice it. Then other people think, well, I've got bad insomnia all the time. Like, a lot of time, people have. But all the time, we are constantly waking up to scan, check, everything's safe, everything's safe. And that's the bottom line of every animal and human being. Is it safe? Is it safe? Am I safe? Safe? Is it safe? Am I safe in bed? Safe? Anywhere. So that's what we're built for. In my work, it's like that we become more present. But we become embodied. It's in our bodies. It's not just that we're kind of present up here and we kind of go around the world like cut off. Yeah, I'm very mindful up here, but there's nothing that I'm not actually aware of. That I'm on my feet, I'm on my heels, my toes. That it's a full-bodied. Like a really good bottle of wine. Full-bodied, not kind of half-bodied or gone off, but full-bodied. So that's where I came up when I was coming up with the idea of embodied presence for the name. And for me, it has 3 pieces going with it. It has the 5 rhythms as the basis. It's like this is the foundation of the work for me. Always will be. I love the 5 rhythms from the very first time I was introduced to it. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. That somebody would actually put this work together and tell you could dance and move, and that could be, as authentic and as real as sitting deeply, analysing everything. Just loved the idea of that family had put that together. Then, when I done practice mindfulness meditation, Pema Chodron for me has been the woman that has been the biggest influence on me, even though there's lots of people now. She's a Buddhist nun, and she's American, and I suppose what I really like is she's very down to earth. She's very just down to earth and very honest about the practice. She's doing it for maybe 50 years now, and she'll say, I still wander off. She doesn't give you any kind of delusions of anything. Like, she really is very grounded. So I really love her way of working. And then the piece then, so I've been bringing that in. So the piece now that I've been bringing in the past year and been studying is the part that I've kind of got interested in is with a man called Daniel Segal. He's a psychiatrist and a neuropsychiatrist in America. And you'll get loads of him on the website. So he's got Daniel Talks for America. And he has developed a kind of a thing called interpersonal neurobiology. I love the sound of it. It's a really big word, like, you know. But what it means for him is like that interpersonal, it's between people and it's our brain. And what I loved, he really appealed to me is he talks about that he uses things like dance, music, poetry, science. He doesn't just say science is top. And he talks about it. I couldn't believe that somebody was, you know, and every now and again he talks about dance. And he says, no, you know, dance is a way of knowing yourself. And so I thought, right, this is my man. Now since then, there's been lots of others that I've kind of got to know. But they're the three. And to me then, when they're three together in my Venn diagram, my little diagram, the only time I've ever used maths properly, is this little piece in here is embodied presence. It all comes together. And it's that. Even if it's a little piece, my circles could be bigger, will be as we grow and we do this more. But that's the piece for me, the embodied presence. So it's the three pieces of that. And we'll be practicing that for the weekend now. And that's what I will be bringing in always from now on. So just to give you some of this, so 5 rhythms for me is the embodiment part, being in our bodies, using our bodies, moving, continually using the body. Mindfulness then, just one definition of it is awareness of present moment experience with intention and purpose without grasping onto judgments. Some of you are probably very familiar with that, those kind of definitions, particularly from John Kabat-Zinn is the person, one of the people who's mainly come up with that. But it's like being here, as you are right now, right this second as we're here. Like the sense of being here, you listening to me at the moment, and dropping all judgments as best you can. Oh, she's doing it right, she's not doing it right, or I'm sitting here, or should be sitting there, or it's a bit wrong, it's a bit cool, or should be, you know, dropping all that kind of pieces that go with it as best we can, so that we actually turn up in this moment. So you actually get to hear what I'm saying in this moment, as distinct from a word, and then it triggers off something else. So that's in the mindfulness, and it's also in the dance. It's like when we're doing any of the rhythms, it's like when we're doing flowing, we're talking about my feet on the ground. It's like my feet, not thinking about my feet, but actually feeling my feet. And it's really interesting in this room because the floor is so warm. Like really feeling my feet, my heels. So it's really sensing that, not thinking about, oh, my feet, yeah. I'm thinking, like, looking up there, my feet. You know, it's really getting down into it, to really feel it. Look, or do I spend my time on my toes, kind of? Some people do, like lots on their toes. Or do I kind of lean this way? So it's like really that sense of being able to be aware of it and not making a judgment, oh, I'm on my toes, oh, I shouldn't be. Like, oh, I'm on my toes, interesting. I'd be like to come down to earth, my heels. Oh, interesting. So that it becomes interesting all the time, rather than judgmental. Then, for Daniel Segal, interpersonal neurobiology is meant to convey the embracing of everything in life. Daniel doesn't do things small, it's like everything in life. From society, that's his interpersonal piece, to synapses, that's the neurobiology. Synapses are the, there's a picture of a synapse. It's actually inside your brain, it's this piece, believe it or not. There's all these wiring inside your brain, and the synapse is the piece, is where they meet up. That's what it's called, and it's where all the kind of firing, all electrical impulses. Your brain is an electrical piece of equipment as well as a chemical piece of equipment, and that's firing. So right as you're listening to me now, your brain is firing. So if we little hats on, you could see it, you know, the bits firing up, like, you know, and different parts. So that's for him is the link between interpersonal and then science, and that's what he calls that. So that's the three of them. So just 2 aspects I just wanted to highlight here for us today in doing it. He is one of the few people who's given a working definition of the mind, which is interesting because we use the word mind, we talk about being in our mind, we talk about mindfulness, we talk about getting out of our mind, we talk about changing our mind, we talk about turning our mind upside. We talk about the mind a lot, and his contention is we don't really know what it is. Now he's interesting because he's a bit controversial. He gets into problems because some people say you can't define the mind. It's too, you know, amorphous. It's too big. It's too this. But he has kind of decided, look, we'll just do a working definition, kind of a practical thing. and he's worked with a lot of people to come up with this. So he says a core aspect of the mind can be defined as an embodied from your feet to the top of your head is your mind. It's not in this tiny little space up here. It's embodied, and it's a relational process, so it happens between us. We are social animals. We're not built for isolation. You may like time on your own, fine, but you're not built for it. And one of the most kind of dangerous and most deliberate things we can do to somebody is to put them in solitary confinement. And you know, like we're all sort of women in the room here, you know that one of the things girls can often do in school as a bullying tactic is to isolate somebody. You know, have them on their own, have no friends. And that's very damaging. Very, very damaging to our brains, to any of us. We don't cope well without, you know, we're social beings. We are the most social of all of the animals in the whole hierarchy. We're the most social. And we do need people, believe it or not. We need one another. Even if we draw back, we still need a little piece of contact. So he says that a relation process that regulates the flow of energy and information. So we always have energy. There's always energy in the brain, is always working on energy. And then information is when we name something. So that's his thing. It's like there's always a flow of energy, and we're always making information, and that's our brain makes sense of the world that way. But it particularly makes sense of it through our body, in the messages we get, and we'll see that in a minute, and then through our interactions with one another. And he says regulate means we monitor it and we modify it. So, you know, you may come in now with one idea of the 5 rhythms, but on Sunday you monitor it, and on Sunday you may leave with a different idea. Even for those of you that have been doing it for a long time. The hope is that even if you've been doing it for a long time, that you stay fresh enough, that it's different every time. That you have another piece. It's like an onion, another layer has come. So that's his definition. I just wanted to bring it in that, like when I do the ongoing group, we do an awful lot more on this, but it's just the idea that, we have a mind, that it's in our bodies, and that it's always being, we regulate one another. Like that when I said to you at the beginning, if you come in nervous, and when you said there, Bernie, to Liz, you said to Liz that time, it was like regulating your system. Oh, somebody saw me, somebody said hello. That, or for any of you that were greeted by Jasmine or Brigitte, it's like, hello. That immediately, and it's the word it regulates, it settles us down, it settles our system. If we get ignored, our system goes, what's wrong with me? Ooh. Or like you say, big cliff here. Oh yeah, which was untypical. We go into all kind of things to kind of protect ourselves. So we are all the time using our mind to kind of check things out. And we're monitoring it, and it's all in relationship to people as well. So here's another piece, and if you do want to find anything more about Daniel Segal, he has a book called Mindsight. And it's probably the easiest book that he's written to read. It's very easy to read, very straightforward and very clear. It's a really good book. He has other ones, very good books too. They're a bit more dense, but the Mindsight one is probably the easiest to read. He calls Mindsight as a kind of focused attention, which is what hopefully we will be using all day today, coming back, paying attention, that allows us to see the internal workings of our own minds. So we begin to know, this is my mind. So when I said to you at the beginning that was predictable about you, that comes from your mind. It's your mind creates that what's predictable about you. So it's like getting to know it. So we begin to know how it works. So we know that if we come into a room, that maybe we do need time and space, like that kind of being able to stretch, to look out at people, not to have to engage immediately. Or we will know, I actually need to talk to somebody, I need to chat to people, that helps me. And that's what's meant by getting to know what does our mind need, what does our brain need. It's a unique human ability, Mindsight, that no other animals have it, that allows us to examine closely, in detail and in depth, the process by which we think, feel and behave. It's the height of social and emotional intelligence. And we talk a lot today nowadays about social and emotional intelligence, and that's what it is, where we can examine in depth how we think, feel and behave. And any of you that have animals know they don't do that. My cat does not sit there worrying about its behaviour. I have looked at them, the two of them, and I said, look what you did. They just look at you. So what? I'm not going to be thinking and analysing about the poor rabbit that's dead in front of my feet. It's like, rabbit, what's the animal, So they don't do that. They don't do in the way that we do, think about it. Like Joy is the name of my cat. He doesn't. I don't think he thinks about the poor rabbit he's killed.